He fell asleep in New Jersey before the bombs hit the ground. Broadcasting from a bomb shelter, he is the nuclear clown. Look, let's not bullshit each other, okay? We both know that we've never been to the moon. I'm not really even sure about Wyoming. Nonetheless, when I first saw the previews for Apollo 18, I thought, hey, what a neat looking movie. Apollo 18 was kind of like a found footage, Blair Witchy, documentary, not documentary, real movie, not real movie type thing. And it's about the Apollo 18 mission that was scheduled to happen, I think, but didn't happen for some reason. And the movie follows the premise that the mission did happen, but it was top secret because it was bad, naughty things, and so forth and so forth. So it's shot kind of like, you know, Blair Witch style, like the whole documentary thing with the camera set up. And it's supposed to be, you know, this really happened and this is the footage we found for you. And we're going to show you. And when I first saw the preview for this, I thought, wow, what a great, great movie. Now, movies like Paranormal Activity and all that shit don't really appeal to me too much. I've never seen any of them, so I wouldn't know if they were good or not. But just on a basic level, it's kind of, I don't care too much about stuff like that. But for Apollo 18, it kind of blends in a sort of sci-fi mix with that. And if you can give me like a hint of a genre I like, even if it's primarily a genre I don't like, I'll be interested in that. So when I first saw the preview for Apollo 18 and I saw read the premise and all that stuff, I thought, wow, beam me up, Mars man, Moon man, Face Moon Jackie Gleason. So let's just pretend I didn't say that last part. Apollo 18, my spoiler-free review. One word. Disappointing. I really did not think Apollo 18 was very good. It really sucks because I thought it had a ton of potential. Now, one of the reasons why I thought it was such a great idea was because we've all seen, like, you know, the footage of the astronauts in the capsule in space floating around, you know, doing taxes. And, you know, the film's kind of grainy and shitty and the camera quality's not that good. So if you're doing like this kind of pseudo-documentary thing, A, you don't have to spend a lot of money. B, you don't have to do a lot of special effects because it's supposed to look grainy and it's supposed to look shitty, so you can get by doing a lot less. Save money and make it look, you know, better and more realistic. A lot of the CGI looks too good and too crisp and too clean, and it doesn't look real. But when you do a film like this, you sidestep that completely and don't have to be as good because the quality is already kind of lacking to begin with. See what I'm saying? So it's easier to make it's easier to make it more realistic, and it's cheaper. So everybody wins until you go to see it. Also, I thought this was a great premise and a great concept and just a great idea for a general kind of horror movie because you have so many different aspects that are frightening and exciting and entertaining in this. You have the whole space thingy where, you know, you're on another planet, and you have the whole isolation thingy when you're trapped in this little room with this other guy who stares at you while you sleep every single night. And of course you have the monsters, which is the whole premise of the thing, that, you know, it was classified mission because we found space monsters up there and all that good stuff. That's not a spoiler, you knew it before you went in. So this had so many things going for it, and I was Trey excited about this when I heard about it. And its release got delayed a few times, which is not a good sign, I think. And then it came out, and then I watched it, and that was an even worse sign. So my spoiler-free review is thus: you are not cleared for liftoff, kids. Apollo 18 is a sad movie because it could have been great. it had so many things already going for it, and it had started out. I went in, I was hoping for the best in this, and I did not get it. And so I cannot recommend seeing this movie. It is not very good at all, and actually kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. So that's my spoiler-free review. So if you're ready to get your if you're ready to get your spoiler review on, take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ching. First, let me say, before I begin, I was kind of late to this movie. I missed about the first 5 minutes of it. So, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Dave, how can you say a movie sucks if you didn't see all of it? Well, I am pretty sure there is nothing they could have done in the first 5 minutes, with the exception of having 12 naked girls with enormous jiggly thirst bags jump roping for that 5 minutes. Well, okay, that would have saved it, but I am fairly certain that they didn't have that. So I'm pretty sure that I did not miss too much. So I just want to say that, to be fair, to be completely and totally fair, because maybe I did miss something important. I don't know. If I did, let me know. Comment. Say, hey, how you doing? And why was I late, you ask? Well, because I was stuffing this face. You think I can maintain this physique easily? I was at a buffet where I live, and I was just eating and just stuffing my fucking face again and again and again until it just kept growing and growing. I'm actually 13 feet tall. Food. So I was eating, and I was like, well, the movie theater's right next door. Let me check the show times and see if anything's playing. And lo and be freaking hold, I saw that Apollo 18 was going to start in, like, now. So, it was like in that Kids in the Hall skit where the police the police officers are at a diner, and then they see like a wanted poster of two guys, and then the two guys are eating right across the at another table, and they both make eye contact, and then look at the wanted poster, and then look back at each other, and instead of just like the cops getting up and running after the crooks and the crooks getting up and leaving, they start eating real fast to finish their food. It was kind of like that, but much fatter. So I ate like real quick and kind of ran out of there because I was gonna miss the first few minutes, and I figured, well, previews and stuff, I might be all right, but I missed a few minutes of it. So I walk in, and they're talking about the mission briefing, kind of, and what they're going to be doing. And I had seen at the time that this movie had gotten 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I thought, wow, it's really, 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 really bad. And I was reading some of the little reviews people were leaving as I was just completely absorbing calories, just like pushing. I wasn't even using my mouth. I was just like pushing it into my pores. It was awesome. So I read some reviews, and a lot of them was like, oh, this movie's boring. Oh, this movie's so boring. Oh, it's an hour and a half of just boredom. And I thought that a movie like this, and this is going to sound weird, but a movie like this, with a setup like this, should kind of be boring. Because if you're doing the whole found feature thing, if you throw in moments of sheer, dumb, ridiculous boredom, guess what? That's life. That makes it seem a little bit more realistic. And if you're flying around in a space pod with another person, you're going to pick up a lot of useless bullshit. So I think that the boredom part did not really bother me. It was only an hour and a half long. Did some of it kind of crawl a little bit, but I thought that I found that acceptable because of the setting and because of what the movie was presented as. It's not a mile a minute action. A mile a minute? That's not very fast at all, is it? No, it's not. I don't think so. It's not this action-packed, explosion fest. It's supposed to be like, it's supposed to look legit. So I didn't mind that so much. So in the beginning, they're going over the mission. You get to know the astronauts and stuff like that a little bit. And I wish they would have stayed with this a little bit more to kind of ingratiate, no, that's not the word I'm using, to make you care about the characters more. I think that would have been a pretty neat. They kind of breeze right past it and go right to the liftoff, which kind of surprised me, and I think they could have done a better job of setting up the story from the start, and I don't think they really capitalized on that. So anyway, they fly into space. They get to the moon, and they're like, "Oh my god, boring." See, I can't do that, so I just go. So they get to the moon, and they're like, "Earth party boys here," and huge party. Not parties. There's not a party. So they get to the moon, and the first thing they do is collect some rocks. So, you know, I guess that's the mission. Go there and find some rocks. Because that's worth millions and millions of dollars and time and expense and technology to get rocks. So they go there and they find some rocks. And one of the rocks like moves on its own. They put it in a little decontamination bag or something like that. And the guy wakes up, and then he's like, "Oh, my fucking rock's on the floor." And he picks it up, and then he's like, "Hey, bro, did you mess with my rock? Keep your hands off my rock, you dig?" And then the other guy's like, "I didn't touch your fucking rock, you fucking shit, fuck." Did I spit all over the camera again? Sorry. You know, the rock just like got up and moved by itself. So they're like, "Oh well, I guess we gotta throw it away or something." So then they put on their suits, they go outside, and they're, you know, hopping around. And they find a cosmonaut thing, a Russian pod. What is it? Lander, right? Lander. So they find the Russian pod thingy, which looked awesome. I mean, I fucking loved. I want to be a cosmonaut when I grow up, pretty bad. Just so I can fly around in one of those things, or just so I can crash and die in one of those things, because I'm not the most efficient guy that you want. Find one of those. So they find the cosmonaut thing. They go inside of it, and there's like blood all over the place. I think there's but they don't find a body. But the craft is otherwise functional, has oxygen and all this other shit. So they go back from finding their rocks and stuff like that, and they're going about their astronauty business. And one of them starts freaking out and says something's in his suit, right? Something is in his suit. So he's going crazy. He's you know, out doing the help me space dance. And then the other guy is saying, you know, "Oh, get in here, blah blah blah." So the guy kind of passes out. And in a real freaky moment, I thought this was well done. When the astronaut's like, "Oh, there's something in my suit. Suit." Which is it's scary, you know. You think like, all right, I'm in this suit and there's something in it and there's like no way I can get to it. You know, that's pretty freaky. So and then he like turns to the camera and then you see something crawl on his face, and pretty eerie, you know, pretty cool. So he brings the guy in. Okay, he brings the guy in, and he's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And the guy's like, "I don't remember what happened. You want some Skittles? Skittles for everyone." So the guy doesn't remember what happened, and the other guy's like, "Well, you said," and I'm sorry that I'm bad with names. You'll notice in all my reviews, I'm like, so then the one guy says to the other guy, and then George Clooney says to Ewan McGregor, you know, I say actors' names. I'm sorry, I don't know the actors' names, so I would just say this guy and that guy. So Biff and Larry, I guess I'll say, if it makes you feel any better. So the one guy doesn't remember freaking out, and the other guy, you know, like he gets out of his astronaut suit, and he finds like a huge gash, like a big cut right under the guy's man boob. Well, he doesn't have. I have. It would be right under my man boob, but under his pectoral muscle, because he's normal and doesn't have problems. So they just a big fucking big cut, and the guy's like, oh, I don't know how that got there. I don't know what's going on, whatever. So the one guy, and this part was, oh my God. So the one guy's like feeling around the wound, and he's like, there's something hard. It's like something's inside of you. So the one astronaut's like, you know, it's like there's something hard inside you. I'm gonna have to pull this out of you. And in probably the worst acting I've ever seen in my life, ever, the guy says, all right, you know, go for it. So the guy takes out like medical, like these big, like fucking salad tongs for guts. He takes out these things, these pinchy things that I just do not have the budget to replicate. And he sticks it in this big wound. He sticks it in and he's like grinding it in the guy's skin, and he's like, what the fuck is up with your body, bro? So he's trying, he's like pulling this thing out, and it's like, it's gross. And the guy who's getting this done to him, keep in mind, the big metal thing, just digging in him, trying to pull this fucking thing. And the guy getting this done to him is like, like I've had more pain going to the bathroom than this guy has getting like this metal instrument like jammed into this wound and pulling out this thing. It's like a big ass rock, like this big, actual scale. So it's a huge like a stone, like a kidney stone from Hades, and he pulls it out of him, and the guy just like, shit, fucking, you pussy, is that all you got? I mean, it was like the worst thing. Just his reaction, like, I'm gonna have to pull this out. All right, go ahead, whatever floats your boat, man. Like it's a common occurrence. Like it's like, oh, my dandruff's acting up again. Time to rip a stone out of my body. So he pulls the thing out, and it's just a normal rock, and they smash it. Okay, now this begs the question. I am assuming, because I'm not that bright, so I am assuming that when the rock came out of the bag, it's some kind of being, some kind of creature, right? Shape-shifting thingy. It's oh my God, it's like, does anybody remember those toys that were rocks and then they'd turn into like monsters? Like it would be like a boulder, and then you like open it up and it would be like a transformer but a rock. Like, well, geez, that's fucking stupid, isn't it? Like, oh crap, here come the cops. And then you turn into a big rock. Like, that's not gonna be conspicuous. So, but it was, I had one of those. It was like a weird boulder. If you know what it is, please comment. It's like a boulder, and it turned into a little man, and he was like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr." And then he turned back into a rock. So, anyway, I assume the little rock was in the bag, and it escaped. They found it, threw it away. It crawled into the guy's suit. He puts the suit on. They go out. It starts crawling all over him and burrows inside him, and then reverts back to rock form, is pulled out of him, and then smashed. If I'm wrong, sorry. But that's what, I assume that's what happened, I guess. Here's my question. I have a problem with this on a movie sense, and B, I have a problem with this in a logic sense. I'll do my movie sense first. If you're making a genre of movie that features aliens, you want to stay away from iconic things relating to other alien movies. Like, I don't know, things burrowing inside you and you know, like living being, you know, like the Alien thing. Like, you want to just kind of make your own thing and not have it be similar. And to me, that was like ludicrously similar and dumb. And B, what's the point? So the little rock man burrows inside his gut and turns back into its rock form. For what? I got all day to wait for an explanation. Now, you could say, well, Dave, a fine question, and you look lovely this evening. Thank you. But, you know, you'll say, Dave, maybe it's for breeding purposes. where the little alien monster burrows inside the human because it's warm and it's a place to lay rock eggs. Which begs the question, if that's the case, then this species would have died out. Because how many humans are on the moon, really? You see where I'm going with this? If they require, like, incubation in a human being to breed, how are they still there when, like, what, 2 people go to the moon every 10 years or something? I don't know the figures. I'd check the website, but let me go to spacecamp.org. And I was always fucking really jealous of the kids who went to space camp, like on Double Dare. They'd win trips to space camp, and I'd be, like, home on Earth being like, fucking space kids. So anyway, yeah, space kids. Space camp. I'd be a different person if I went to space. But anyway, so that's, like, that bothers me. Like, okay, what's the fucking point? Or even if it's like, well, it burrowed inside him to kill him. Okay, why didn't it just crawl in his mouth and rip his throat out when it was crawling on his face? Or burrow into his eyes and eat his brains? Like, what was the point of that? I don't understand. They never clarify it. If maybe I missed it, I don't know. I doubt it severely. It just bothered me a whole lot. So, the guy's infection starts to get... No, the guy's wound starts to get infected. The guy's infection starts to get wounded. So he starts turning all blue and purple and veiny, and he starts going crazy, space madness. He starts kind of going a little bit psycho. And the other guy starts kind of getting scared of him. And so they call like their home base, right? They call ground control or whatever. And they're like, what's going on here? You sent us, you landed us a mile from a Russian, you know, a craft. There are these things down here. You knew they were here. You set us up. You bastard government cover-up, Alex Jones, awesome shit. You did it. And you know, America's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm eating a goddamn cheeseburger, hot dog, USA. Remember the Alamo. And then you know, the guy's like, well, sorry, bye, I gotta go. So they're like, oh damn it, they set us up. They set us up. I'll get back to this. So the one guy starts getting in real bad shape and starts going crazy. And they end up, like, he starts dying, and they get into a big fight. And they which reminds me of the part in The Simpsons, you know, back when The Simpsons was good, 1,000 years ago. And when Homer's in space, and then he's got the rod sealing the door, and then he pulls it out, and he's like, now I'm going to bash that pretty face of yours. I love that part. It kind of reminded me of that, but nothing like it. It's just 2 astronauts fighting, which I guess is as close as I'm ever going to get to that Simpsons scene. So they start fighting, and they smash up some of the cameras during the fight, and they bust, like, the oxygen in their little pod that they're in. So, and during this time, you know, they have some surface shots of the moon, and you see, like, a rock, you know, like a bunch of rocks on the ground, and then you'll see a rock go... Dun, dun, dun! Rock! So they throw in some of that to kind of keep you interested, and then so they bust the oxygen, and eventually they calm down, and then they're like, we have to get out of here because the oxygen's gonna leave. We have to find another source of oxygen, and they're like, the Russian craft has plenty of oxygen. Like, they were there before, and they said, oh, this is fully operational, got pplenty of oxygen, blah blah blah. So that's cool. I mean, they set it up, you know, whatever. So they get in their little the moon mobile, the cool little, like, fucking thing that they ride around in, and they start driving back, and you know, before they leave, the guy's like, oh, the one guy who got the infection is like, oh, leave me, I'm a goner, I'm dead. Excuse me, I burped. He's like, oh, leave me, I'm dead. Oh my God, the moon, bury me in the moon, on the moon. And the guy's like, no, you're coming with me. We all go home where nobody goes home. That was Sergeant Slaughter from the G.I. Joe movie. I love that line. So he's like, no, come on, you're coming with me. And he like dresses him in his spacesuit, and they go on the little moonmobile. And they're driving, and the guy with the infection's like, ah, I'm freaking out. And he tries to like jump off of the fucking thing. So the guy's like, no, come on, you can do it. We're gonna go home. We're gonna see your dog Larry again. And the guy's like, rah, rah, rah. So they end up crashing the moonmobile. Now, I understand, you know, it's a good guy. He's heroic. It's his friend. The first time he freaks out, after it's his fault in the first place that the oxygen got destroyed, thereby risking both their lives. So, you know, the first time he freaks out, he's like, okay, come on, calm down. We're going to get through this. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. There's a hospital right down the street. All right, I can understand that. But as they're driving and he wrecks their only mode of transportation to the place they're trying to get to, it's like, by this time, I think I'd be like, okay, bye. I'll see you later. Yeah, you better walk it off. Visit the trainer. Get a cortisone shot in that shit. It was a bit much, you know? So anyway, they go to the Russian craft. And the one guy, or after they get wrecked, the one guy who with the infection gets like pulled into a crater by these moon spider. It's like the big monster is like a rock with like little spindly spidery legs. If you've seen Beetlejuice, remember when all of Delia's statues came to life and there was one that was just like this ball of metal crap and it had these like thin wire hanger things coming out of it? That's sign language for Beetlejuice. Yeah, they look like that, of various sizes. Like, that's the big moon monster. So the moon rocks are monsters. So anyway, the one guy who's infected gets dragged into the crater, never to be seen again until he is seen again. And the main character goes into the Russian craft, and he's like, you know, he's using the radio, and he's like, help, please, is this thing on? I'll be here all week. And he's, you know, trying to communicate with people. And a Russian voice answers. And he talks, you know, he's like, please, you gotta help me. And the Russian voice answers again. Blah, 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 blah. Comrade. Please help me, please. Comrade. Please. And then literally, like, in, like, 15 or 20 seconds, there's, like, an American on the line. And he's like, what seems to be the problem, son? The Soviets patched you through to us. I'm not a history major or anything, but weren't the Soviets and us Americans in like a pretty big wrestling feud at the time? Like, all right, your enemy calls you and says, help me, so you help them? I don't, like, if they're, you know, when the Russians be like, fuck ski you ski, LOL ski. I don't know, that it's not a big deal, but it was kind of weird that they got them on the line so fast. Like, oh my god, a medic in trouble. Patch him through to the president immediately. Ski. So they do that, and the American guy's like, well, what's going on there, Jimmy Jam? And the guy's like, oh, you bastards, you set us up, you brought us here to. He's like, you know, so-and-so's infected, he's dead, you knew this, you gotta help us. And then the guy's like, well, sorry, we're not gonna be able to take you home, because it's kind of late, and I gotta get up early for work in the morning. Peace in the Middle East. And they hang out and leave the astronaut stranded there, and he starts freaking out. And he's going to try to launch the little cosmonaut thing into space and meet up with the other guy that's in orbit and take him home, blah, blah, blah. So, he activates the thing, and he's like, come on, baby, come on. And then the guy who was infected, comes back and starts pounding on the window with like a hammer, the window of the thing. Now look, I don't know anything about anything, so maybe you can help me with this, you smart people out there. Because he's outside in space, in the spacesuit with a hammer. And he's like, let me in, you bastard, let me in. And he's like pounding away at the window with the hammer. Like, could you even do that? Like, can you generate force like that in space? Wouldn't it be like, let me in, you bastard? I don't know. I honestly don't know. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But it just seemed weird that he's like moving so freely when everything I've seen of people moving in space is like a ballet in slow motion. I don't know. Educate me. I'm a poor American. Teach me. I want to know what love is. So the guy's like, please don't do that. I'm fucking trying to do this. And the guy hammering on the thing, his face blows up. And like he turns away for a minute. And then when he turns back, his helmet is full of those creepy crawly things. So, which would lead me to believe that the thing did lay eggs in him that blew up out of his face. I guess. But he took it out of him. He took it out of him. Did it just crawl in there, turn into a rock, jizz in him, and then, like, make little rock babies in him? Is this what kidney stones is? I don't know. I'm just stumped all around because it doesn't make sense, really. So his face blows up, and he's, gonna be out sick for a week or two. And the guy in the thing launches the cosmonaut shuttle thing, he launches it, and he's like, see, that's here. You get my reenactment, my artist's rendition of this, and like the shit starts floating all around him, because he's going into space. So then you see like some rocks of doom and evil, of course, because the rocks turn into those spindly, spidery things, and they attack him, and he screams and blows up. And then they do the whole, like, the official report was so-and-so blew up in a crash on blah, 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 and so-and-so blew up on blah, 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 blah. The bodies were never recovered. Ga, 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 ga. And, but what was weird, at the end of the, at the end of the movie, they had a little thing, and this is actually true. You could look it up on Wikipedia, because, well, I don't know, I say, oh, it was true, look it up on Wikipedia. Wikipedia probably lies all the time, but, it's the closest thing to truth I'm willing to look at. So, it says that, like, hundreds of moon rocks were brought back between the various Apollo missions that were done. And a bunch of those were given away to foreign dignitaries and shit like that. And to this day, like, the majority of those rocks have either disappeared, been stolen, or been destroyed. The scariest part of this movie was the part that's the truth. Not a good review. But I thought that was kind of weird and kind of cool. But see, here's my problem with this story. So you're telling me the premise is that the rock is a giant fucking monster. I mean, the moon is an enormous monster, because if the little rocks can turn into the spider things, and big rocks too can turn into the spider things, I guess that means the moon is like a living being and is like a big monster. And if so, what does it eat? How does it survive? If it needs humans to procreate, how is it still alive? Right? But what would have been awesome, I mean, I would have loved it if at the very end, the entire moon grew legs and started, like, breaststroking towards the earth to, like, strangle it, to, like, crush the Earth. See, then I would have loved it if that would have happened. Then it would have been like Earth versus the Moon in like a big fight battle thing, and then it would have gotten a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes instead of a 12. So yeah, that's the end of the movie, and I a few things I don't understand that. So that's really the premise. Moon rocks are aliens. And they burrow inside you for what purpose? And if it's to breed, that's retarded. Also, the whole government cover-up thing, like, the guy's like, you knew, why'd you send us here? You knew, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, why did you send them there? Like, to double check? Like, yeah, we thought there were rock monsters on the moon, but we just needed confirmation, so thanks for that. We're not going back anymore. This movie was really, really disappointing because I had really high hopes for it, and I wasn't expecting a masterpiece by any means, but I thought it was an original premise, an original idea, and used what a genre was available to it, the whole found footage thing, with all those pieces of the puzzle combined. All you needed to do was tell a semi-competent story in there, and I would have been very positive on this movie. But they couldn't do that. In fact, the plot was really nonsensical, as I'm explaining. Now, again, I missed the first 5 minutes. Maybe there's a 1 in 10,000 chance that in those 5 minutes, everything was explained. I doubt it. But, you know. I would have really liked it if they kind of went more in depth about this cover-up and what the fucking... Like, why? Send them up there to bring back more rocks. Why? Okay, so the evil government can give these rocks to foreign dignitaries so that the foreign dignitaries can get killed by rock monsters. Can't you just poison him or assassinate him like we always do? I mean, isn't that the thing? I just got back from assassinating like 3 leaders of another country. That's just what us Americans do. So I have no idea what they were looking at with this movie. Very unfortunate. I was really disappointed because I you know, to be honest, I hate coming on here and like trashing these movies. I love watching good movies, and it makes me sad when I really have high hopes for something and it doesn't turn out very good at all. And Apollo 18, not very good at all. And the monsters, a letdown. You know, this like claymation looking. It's like the director's 9-year-old son just created this out of Play-Doh, and then his dad came home and was like, "Oh my God, Jason, you just blew Daddy's mind." And then he made a movie about it. But when I was sitting through the credits, they played a song. I think it was like a piano song, and it was really good. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I liked it a whole lot. It was just like an instrumental piano song, and I really, really liked it a whole bunch. I might have to look that up and see if I could find that song. I remember I liked it. So I liked something in Apollo 18. It's good, positive, right? End on a nice positive note there. So yeah, that's Apollo 18. Abort this mission at all goddamn costs. And don't see this. It's not that great. But you know, it did. If you want to see a movie that does the whole found footage thing, and I think does a really nice job of it. I know this movie gets like dicked around a lot, and like people talk a lot of shit about it and say it sucks. I thought it was really cool. It's called The Last Broadcast. And it's about like a murder that happened with these 2 guys who do this public access TV show about all this like weird phenomenon and stuff like that. And it's set in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, where the devil comes from. And I thought it was really good. And people say, "Oh, it's just a Blair Witch ripoff," but I actually think this came out before the Blair Witch Project. I'm not positive on that, but it's, you know, that type of movie. But you know, the ending was a bit But overall, I really thought that was good. So if you can find it, I don't think it's on the Netflix instant queue. I believe I checked and it wasn't on there. But The Last Broadcast I kind of liked. If you're into this sort of movie, you may like that. You know, I thought it had some really good points. It's far better than this. If you're thinking, oh, maybe I should go see Apollo 18, spend $3 on Amazon and try to find The Last Broadcast. You might like it a bit more. But anyway, until we meet again, to infinity and beyond, Moon. Man, I gotta get some drugs or something.